back out on the bank filming another one of my specimen series, and this time I'm fishing for a fish that a lot of people probably don't enjoy catching, and that's the bream. But hopefully the bream that I'm targeting here will be nice big bream, and once bream get to double figures for me, they're suddenly a lot more appealing. And add to that the venue that I'm fishing. This is a large 100-acre sailing lake, which can be quite challenging, and I suddenly enjoy targeting them. So it's a bit of a tall order, like I say, 100 acres with not a huge stock of bream, but some very big bream, and hopefully I can find a few. I've not got my first choice of swims, if I'm honest. I've got here a few hours ago and had a good walk round, and there's a couple of bivvies where I've caught them in the past, but I've had a good look round and I've followed this wind. It looks really good on this bank. I've had a plumb round with the marker rod. I found what I think should be a good spot. It's a slightly shallower, gravelly area at range, which just screams bream to me. So I've got 3 rods out. I've got quite a bit of bait out there, and normally they feed later in the day. So maybe this evening, a few bream will show up and start feeding on the spot, and we can catch 1 or 2 for the cameras. Well, I think I just got a bit overexcited by a line bite there. I thought I had a take on the left-hand rod, but it was obviously just a line bite. But at least that means there could be some bream moving on to my spot now, so that's boosted my confidence. But whilst I've got the rod in, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk you through the rig that I use and the rod and the reel that I use for this bream fishing. So the rod, first of all, the rod that I use is an Advantage Discovery RVS in a 1.75 pound. I'm fishing very long range here, and I'm dropping it with a bait boat, so I don't need a really stiff, heavy rod, and it's much nicer playing these bream on what I'd class as a bream setup. So the 1.75 pound rod is the perfect test curve. And then attached to the rod, I've got a Shimano bait runner, and I've got 12-pound line on there. This might sound quite heavy for bream fishing, but these are very big bream, and this is a very harsh environment. It's a big 100-acre lake with weed beds, quite harsh gravel bars, and there's a header carp in here to over 40 pounds. So if I accidentally hook one of those carp, I feel quite confident I could land it on that line as well. Coming down to the rig, I've got about 3 to 4 foot of Fox submerged leader. And the reason for that, as I mentioned, I'm fishing on the top and down the side of gravel bars, and they can be very harsh, and this just protects that last 3 to 4 foot of line from me being cut off. And I think everyone's probably seen this 100 times, a simple lead clip setup. I've got a nice flat 2.5 ounce gripper type lead. I'm not having to cast it, and I'm dropping it with the boat, and I feel that stays exactly where I drop it on the side of those bars. Coming down to the hook link, I've got a 10-pound fluorocarbon hook link, and that couldn't be any simpler. That's probably about 8 or 9 inches long with a simple knotless knot, and that goes down to a size 10 quarter wide gape hook, and I've got a little mini boilie tipped with a bit of plastic corm. It's a quick change swivel on there, so I can change my hook links nice and quickly. And the one last thing that I do, somewhere in my pocket, I've got a little mesh bag. There's a mixture of different pellets in there, and there's a few crumbled boilies. I just nip that onto the hook before I put it in the boat. Then I'll put plenty of bait in the hopper of the boat and drop it back on the spot. And talking of which, I'm quite keen to get this rod back out. Hopefully that line bite does mean there's some bream moving in my swim, and I might get a bite this afternoon. Well, without doubt, I wouldn't go fishing for big bream without pellets. And I've got a generous helping of mixed size pellets here. And to that I add some sweet corn. Bream also loves sweet corn. And then a generous glug of some tuna liquid just to boost the whole mix. Then I put some whole and some crumbled boilies in, and that's my go-to bait for these big bream. As expected, it was a quiet afternoon and no bites this afternoon, but I'm not too disheartened. Normally the bream on this big pit feed much better into the evening and actually into the dark. So I'm going to get all 3 rods wound in, fresh hook baits put on and get them repositioned all along that gravel bar and hope that we get a bite maybe on dusk. May seem a bit strange that I'm using a bait boat for bream fishing, but due to the size of the pit and a lot of these gravel bars are very long range, and the only way I'd be able to cast to them is if I was to use carp rods, and I'd rather catch the bream on a 1.75 pound test curve rod and my actual bream gear. So I use the boat to place it nice and neatly on top of the bar, keep all the bait in nice and tight, and I think it gets you a few extra bites. So there's no way I could cast a 2.5 ounce lead with a PVA bag the distance I'm dropping them with the boat. 9.7, like that'll do. Perfect. I've got several things here to make it nice and neat and accurate. I've got some marker elastic on the main line so I can get the distance spot on, and I've picked a few trees on the far bank there so I know where to aim to. So I can feel, as soon as I feel the marker elastic run through my fingers, once it's nag on through my fingers, I'll wait until I see it about on the tip ring. Just going to come a fraction to the right so they're not too close together, and that should be about right. Perfect. It's probably been a couple of hours since I refreshed those rods and gave them a top up of bait, and it started to look quite promising. For a while there was a real good show of big bream, sort of long range in front of me, which bodes quite well for the night. The bream have disappeared now. I think the main reason is it's become very busy in front of me. I've got canoes, kayaks, sailing boats and a power boat as well, so we've got a few people sailing right in front of me, but hopefully they'll head in soon. The lake will quieten down and those bream that I saw rolling, hopefully we'll find my bait out there. I'm not going to do anything with the rods. I'm pleased that they're out there neatly. I'm pleased with the amount of bait around them, and hopefully in the hours of darkness a bite or two will come my way. Well, there we go. After 2 smaller bream earlier on, it's been about another half an hour, 45 minutes, and one of the other rods has pulled up tight, and the first proper bream. Double figure bream, this one, £10, 3 ounces. Really pleased with that. And that's when I think bream start looking cool. When they get over £10, they're a different looking beast altogether. So mega happy, and going to try and get that rod back out in the dark, because where there's one big bream, there's quite often a shoal of them. So hopefully it won't be the last one. How about that for a brace of bream to be rudely awoken by? After that £10 3 in the middle of the night, I managed to get a couple of hours kip, and then got woke up by these 2 at first light. Back-to-back bites and 2 more double figure bream. What fantastic bream fishing on this big pit, and these are the sort of bream I enjoy catching. It's probably going to be my lot now. The sun's now starting to come up. It's flat, calm and really sunny today, which I find aren't great conditions for bream fishing. So I'm going to slip these 2 beauties back and probably have a slow pack up.